All right, guys, it's Adam Trigger. It's Friday. We're talking college basketball. First, thank you to everyone that hopped on the 5% play yesterday. I know a lot of you might have done that because the earlier ones won, but I appreciate you giving me a shot. And we went 4-0. All plays hit yesterday, a nice sweep. That's now 6 straight winners. So, and I'm going to give you what I'm going to try to go for number 7, and I'm going to give it to you right here. So I'll talk about what I have up for sale later. But this is a client play for me, and because it's an early tip, and because WagerTalk wanted me to talk about it on the show, so like and subscribe to WagerTalk because they put this game on, and I said, you know what, I'm betting it. I can't hold out on the people, so we're going to talk Yale Princeton, and I'm going to take you back to the beginning of the season when I did every preview, every college basketball show, and I said asinine things like Princeton might not lose a game in the Ivy this year. It was my biggest and one of my only futures coming into the year, Princeton to win the Ivy at plus money. So it's mind-boggling to me that we're 4 games into the Ivy League season and Princeton suddenly a home underdog, and they're not in first place. But you know, they've had some adversity. They ended up without Devin Austin. They've had a couple of guys hurt, and you know, to be honest, they just haven't looked as good as expected since Ivy League play started. But I still thought it was crazy. I thought it was crazy that they were underdogs here. I think it's crazy that this has moved to 3.5. I played this at 2.5. So my 4% play that I'm giving you for free on the show here is Princeton plus 2.5. It's actually 3.5 everywhere now. And unless there's an injury I don't know about, which I don't think there is, I'm more than willing to play against that. So I like it even more at what is another key number of 3.5. So here's some of the reasons I think Yale is taking money in this spot. So Princeton has now lost 5 straight against the spread. They've won 4 of those games were wins where they just didn't cover. And that's, I think, what's been Princeton's problem a little bit against the number this year. They came into the season so maybe inflated or just rated so highly that they've just been favorites in almost every game. I can tell you the 2 games that they weren't a favorite in because both of them were 4% plays for me, and both of them Princeton won outright as a 6-point underdog against St. Joe's and a 7-point underdog against Rutgers. Both outright wins for Princeton. So the only 2 times Princeton's been an underdog all year, we've cashed 4% best bets in both of them. The reason I kind of like Princeton as a dog, I feel like no matter what happens, no matter what the setup, Princeton's ability to shoot the 3 gives them a chance in any game. They're a prolific 3-point shooting team, 37.8%. That's 30th nationally. In one of my in the burner where it's a good Discord, the 3-man weave guys kind of are in there, and it's something that if you don't have it, it's great for college basketball, just random info. Someone posted a stat about the Ivy that I'm going to steal and talk about here. Right now, this league is shooting 38.1% from 3. It's the highest collective 3-point percentage of any league in the country, and Princeton is one of the leading, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the land. So they're one of the main contributors to that. Yale's only given up 28.7 3-point against this year. Some of that's good defense. Yale's very good defensively. Some of that's also luck, in my opinion. So probably some regression in terms of 3-point positive regression, I guess in this case for Princeton's sake, in terms of 3-point makes against Yale. I think, listen, Yale's very good. John Pouladakis is as good of a player as you're going to find in this league. He's averaging almost 20 points per game. But I just cannot wrap my head around Yale coming into this year with no Danny Wolf, who's now at Michigan, no Matt Noling, who's now at USC, the heart and soul of last year's team, August Mahoney, 4-year senior, graduates, and then them not facing any adversity whatsoever in the Ivy. That I just don't see happening. Yale's going to lose a couple Ivy League games as well. They've been hot. Princeton still very well could win this league, but if they're going to win this league, they're going to probably need this one. I know it's only 4 games in or so, But being a game behind Yale, they're going to have to get this head-to-head matchup or the next one. Couple other things I really like about Princeton coming into this game. We saw Jack Scott for a season high 31 minutes against Cornell, goes for 10 points and 7 boards. But more importantly, him being out on the floor for 30-plus minutes is not something we've seen much this year. That's big for Princeton. And we also saw Caden Pierce, the main inside threat for Princeton, actually go and try to dominate the paint. In the previous 2 games where Princeton kind of snuck past Dartmouth and Cornell, he was settling for threes, and it's a shot he can make, but Princeton has enough three-point shooting. They need Caden Pierce in there, and he went for 20 and 10 in the loss to Cornell. So I do like the things that I've seen from Princeton of late. They haven't covered in forever. I think they're 0-5 in their last 5 against the spread, and now you're getting them here at home as an underdog. Should be a great crowd at Jadwin Gym. And I think Princeton finds a way in this one. And if they don't, we've got a bucket to work with, a nice little cushion there. So Princeton plus 2.5, 4% play. I'm going to be going for 7 straight best bet winners in that game. And then if you want to join me for what's hopefully 8 in a row, head on over to WagerTalk. I do have another 4% play up for later tonight. So the Princeton game is a 5 Eastern tip. And then my next one's going to go after that. And you can get that at wt.buzz/AT. And hopefully we keep this great run going. 6-0 since Tuesday. 4-0 sweep last night. 2 of those were 5% max bet winners. So we're finally hitting our stride, and we're going to keep it going on Friday night. All right, we'll talk about one of the big ones. I know that's what some of the people want. Fridays, I love Friday because it's all my leagues, the MAC, the Ivy, all the leagues I like playing, but we've got to give the Big East some love. So we're going to talk Butler and Georgetown. And, Georgetown, disappointing to me because I've kind of sung the praises of Ed Cooley on shows all season. And I do still feel like he's got Georgetown ahead of schedule. Remember, this is only his second year. He inherited a complete dumpster fire left by Patrick Ewing and just a total disaster. And he's got the team 13-8, but if you go back a couple weeks, he had them 3-0 in Big East play, and since then he's 1-6. Really disappointing. Earlier this week, a game against St. John's, one that we talked about here on WagerTalk programming. Georgetown just not ready to play, and I think that's ultimately my problem with Georgetown here. They just don't have much of a home court edge. If you watch that game earlier this week, I felt like there was more St. John's fans there. They were the St. John's contingent, if you will, was louder than the Georgetown fans. And so, like, when I look at this matchup, I've got these teams like right around a pick on a neutral. So the fact that Georgetown's minus 3.5 here, like that checks out. Kind of like standard home court. It was always the sort of standard to throw a team 3 points for home court. But Georgetown, I just don't think their home court is worth 3 points. So it makes it difficult. I like Georgetown to win this game, but I can't possibly lay 3.5. For me personally, I prefer Georgetown in the underdog role. So, like, I'm definitely looking for a spot to bet on Georgetown. I definitely think that there's favorable stuff as far as the matchup is concerned here. Butler's 0-5 on the road, so tough to trust them in a true road game. Haven't won on the road yet, but again, I just couldn't get there with the number. As far as the matchup, though, you look at the 2 coaches, Ed Cooley. I just like what he's doing more than Thad Matta right now. I like the trajectory of Georgetown, as opposed to Butler. Like, this is year 2 for Cooley. Year 1 might as well not have counted because it was just a complete like rebuild for him, and he's 13-8. Thad Matta's in year 3 at Butler. He's done nothing, really nothing at all since getting the job. Doesn't seem like he's the same coach as he was for Ohio State all those years. And this is just not a great Butler team, in my opinion. I believe 2-8 in conference play coming into tonight. They need to shoot the 3. If Butler doesn't, that's probably going to be the difference here. If Butler comes in and can shoot the 3 well, they have a good chance to win. If they don't, I think Georgetown probably covers. But again, it just comes down to, what Georgetown has against Butler. Georgetown's got a top 50 defense. They have one of the better post players in this league in Thomas Sorber. Their front court is better. I think Georgetown is better. I think Georgetown's also got to want to avenge just a dreadful performance against St. John's. It just sucks that we'd have to lay 3.5 here because that's a really tough number to lay in a matchup that profiles as even as this one. So I lean Georgetown. I do think they probably win and find a way, but I just couldn't get there with 3.5. So at 3.5, this remains a lean. I will be looking for a spot in with Georgetown, maybe next week against Xavier. But for this game, Georgetown's going to remain a lean. Princeton is a 4% client play that I decided, even after going 4-0 yesterday, to give you guys for free. And we're going for 7 straight with that game. That's an early tip, which means you guys are going to head over to WagerTalk, wt.buzz/AT, and grab my 4% play that goes later tonight. Hopefully we're going 2-0 and we're making it 8 straight as a solid week hopefully continues to roll on. We'll see you guys back here on Monday for more free pick breakdowns. Like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. But yeah, head on over. Super Bowl to Super Bowl special still up. One of the best values the site has to offer all year long. wt.buzz/AT. Follow me on X at AdamTriggerWT, and have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.